Varun Beverages just released its latest earnings. So let's check out what these earnings are. So first, we have the revenue. Now we're going to focus on the quarter and quarter results for the latest results and not on this H1 stuff. So quarter by quarter, revenue has declined by 2.5%. Usually, Varun Beverages grows very fast, but actually this quarter it experienced an year-on-year decline of 2.5%. The revenue went from 71,969 million rupees, which is around 7,196 rupees, to 7,017 rupees. So 2.5% decline in revenue. If you go down here, we can see the EBITDA. So the EBITDA has actually not declined. Even though revenue has declined, EBITDA has increased by 0.4%. So with that even with the revenue decline, EBITDA increased by 0.4%. Here we can see the profit after tax. And for this quarter, it has increased by 5%. So profit after tax has actually increased by 5%. So now here we have the sales volumes, how many sales it has done in terms of volume. So how many cans it has sold, bottles, all of them added together. So sales volumes overall has declined 3% from 402 million cases. Cases here refers to bottles, cans, anything that Varun Beverages sells. So 402 million cases in second quarter 2024 to now 390 million cases to second quarter of 2025. And here we can see how these cases are differentiated. So a CSD, the biggest category, CSD, is carbonated soft drinks. Then we have NCB, non-carbonated beverages, and then we have water, bottled water. So we can see 75% of cases sold this year or sold this quarter were from carbonated soft drinks, 7% were from non-carbonated beverages, and 18% were from, well, bottling water. So revenue declined a little, 2.5%, but EBITDA increased slightly and profit after tax increased by like 5%. So moving on, here we have the consolidated profit and loss statement. Here we can see the growth numbers for everything. So for every cost, every revenue source, we can see the growth numbers. Yes, so first we have the income. Now the income we already saw 2.3%. Let me highlight this. 2.3% decrease in income year on year. That is revenue from operations. Then we have excise duties, so net revenues. They rose by negative minus 2.5%. Other income, yes, other income increased by 75.3%. Now we come to the expenses. So overall, expenses also decreased. So revenue decreased and expenses decreased even more. Expenses overall decreased by 3.9%. And a very important part, finance cost, that is the cost of, let's say, paying off interest. Majority of finance cost is paying off interest. It declined by 71% year on year. So now you see this 365 figure. So last year at this time it was 1,291. I think this all is in millions. Yeah. So finance cost has declined significantly, and overall EBITDA increased by 0.4%, and profit after tax, yes, profit after tax increased by 5%. Okay, down below, just down below, we have the consolidated balance sheet for the latest quarter. So these are the latest numbers for the balance sheet. So we can go look at a couple of things here. One is current liabilities. So we have the total current liabilities standing at around 44,579.83 million rupees. Yes, all these things are in millions of rupees. Uh, if you can come here, we can see the total assets, total current assets, actually, total current assets 80,133.86 million current assets. So current assets around 80,000 and current liabilities around 44,000. Now current liabilities are things like money that Varun Beverages has to pay to others within a year, within 1 year. And current assets are assets or things it own that can convert into cash or it will get cash from within the next year. So when current assets are more than current liabilities, that's a good thing. And we divide current assets by current liabilities, that's the current ratio, and its current ratio is more than one. So that's pretty good. Moving on, here we have the discussions on the financial and operational performance. So they will give reasons as to why revenue decline, as to what is actually happening, and maybe even the future of the company, the near future. So first, let me make myself smaller and we can read through this. Okay. Consolidated sales volume declined by 3%. So number of cases sold, right? So the sales by volume declined by 3% to 389.7 million cases from 401.6 million cases. So why has this decline happened? Now, this decline has happened primarily due to abnormally high unseasonal rainfall throughout the quarter in India. So they say that the sales volume decline is actually due to the abnormally high unseasonal rainfall. So climatic factors. Then India volumes declined by 7.1%. However, now this was due to unseasonal rainfall. In international markets where there was no unseasonal rainfall, it grew by 15.1%, and South Africa going at 16.1%. So this they partly offsetted the overall decline. So the international volume increase partly offsetted some of the decline seen in India. So if the rain situation will become all right in the next few months and international markets keep growing as the way they have, maybe Varun Beverages will see its growth return. Here we have the net realization per case actually increased by 0.5%. So I believe net realization is the net revenue that they get from per case, so per bottle, per can, it increased by 0.5% due to a 6.6% improvement in international markets, right? Net revenue from operations, you already saw this, it declined, and we already saw the contributions by carbonated soft drinks and all that. Now, EBITDA. EBITDA margins, the EBITDA percentage actually improved. We saw this increase by 82 basis points. It's now 28.5%, which is an increase from the 27.7% seen in 2024's July. Now, this is in spite of increase in fixed overheads due to new capacity being commissioned at 4 greenfield plants in India, which are all yet to yield incremental volumes. This is very important. Here it says, in spite of increase in fixed overheads, they have taken up some new projects, some new plants in India, and they have not. These plants have yet not added to volumes. So even though new plants have been established, costs are not associated. They're not fixed. New costs are not being associated with these plants. These plants have still not contributed to volumes. Even then, after all that, for all these increased costs, EBITDA margins actually improved, which seems to be a very, very strong point for Varun Beverages. Very, very positive point for Varun Beverages. Here we can see EBITDA margins increased on account of operational efficiencies and strong currency in international territories. So they're becoming more and more efficient, and gross margins remain steady at 54.5%. Now, PAT, profit after tax, increased by 5%. Why? driven by operational efficiencies. So they're improving their operations and becoming more efficient in what they do, and lower finance cost, so less interest. They have to pay less interest, which is always a good thing. But depreciation increased by 26.3%. Again, they are now establishing new plants in India and I think Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as brownfield expansions, which is basically land they already own, land which is to an extent development has been done on this land, but they are just, let's say, rebuilding it, repurposing it for other investment, or investing on existing land that they already have, or investing on existing assets to improve and expand these assets. Now, post repayment of debt from QIP proceeds, finance costs in India is negligible. So moving now, finance cost in India is going to be negligible. Then debt, and talking about debt, the company has remained net debt free in the, so it's net debt free in the current quarter and has free cash of 5,149 million, which according to me is 514 crore rupees. So 5,149 million rupees in free cash. It has this much cash with it right now, which has helped in strengthening the company's balance sheet, and now it remains prepared for future growth opportunities. And of course, it has long-term uh, relationships with Chrysler, S&P. Okay, from Chrysler, yeah. Chrysler is a rating agency, very credited, and Varun Beverages seems to have a credit rating of triple A, which is the highest rated. So according to Chrysler, very safe company, very, very safe company. And of course, we have the one and only CapEx, very important. So during this first half year, the net capitalized CapEx was 25,000 million rupees. There was setting up 4 greenfield production facilities at Prayagraj and other places. Uh, Money for expansion in India, as we can see, Sri City in India, and international expansions also. So again, is doing a lot of expansions and capex, and these are always good for, I guess, future growth, or very important for future growth. And finally, we have working capital days, a very important metric. It measures how much time it takes for working capital to be converted into revenue. So lower working capital days, the better. And here we can see it remains steady around 35 days as compared to 33 days last year. So overall, um, yeah, even though revenue declined, profit still increased. It's expanding, it's opening up new plants, and that's a lot of investment, that's a lot of new cost. But even then, with lower revenue and higher costs, it was still able to do one thing. It was still able to expand EBITDA margins, still be more profitable. Last time, it seems due to some climatic factors, that the rainfall these days, its revenues have been impacted severely due to that. And so these were the latest earnings for Varun Beverages. Hope you have a nice day.